In the last video, I introduced you to the atom, which is the smallest unit of matter, and we said that atoms are what particles actually are. And then we described a little bit about the three parts of the atom: the protons, neutrons, and electrons. In this video, I am going to assist you in understanding how to calculate overall charge of an atom and also the mass. So we're going to start with drawing our first atom here, which is 3 protons, 3 neutrons, and 3 electrons. So let's start with drawing that. So I'll draw my protons in red, I'll draw my neutrons in orange, and then my electrons will be in blue. So we'll start with the protons. So if we have 3 protons, remember, we're going to draw those in the center because that's where the nucleus is. The nucleus is that center. So now I'm going to draw my 3 neutrons, also in the center. And now I can draw my 3 electrons. So I'm going to draw this little dotted line here, and then I can fill in my 3 electrons right there. So now there are 2 things that I want to know. I want to know the overall charge of this atom, and I also want to know the overall mass of this atom. So let's first start with overall charge. If we go back up to this information about protons, neutrons, and electrons, and we'll first look at the charge. So protons are positively charged. Neutrons have a neutral charge, which we said means 0 charge. They're not positive or negative. And electrons, we can see, have a negative charge. So if we go back down to our image here of our atom, let's consider this overall charge. First of all, for charge, we know we can ignore neutrons. Neutrons have 0 charge, so they don't really matter. So now let's consider the protons. We have 1, 2, 3 protons, so that is going to equal 1, 2, 3 plus charges. Now let's consider our electrons. We have 1, 2, 3 electrons. So we have 1, 2, 3 negative charges. For every positive charge, if there's a negative, we can cancel it out. So we'll cancel out that, we'll cancel out that, we'll cancel out that, and we're left with 0 overall charge. Okay. So for every proton, if there is an electron, it cancels out. Now let's look at the mass. If we go up to this, you can see that protons have 1 mass, neutrons have 1 mass, whereas electrons do not contribute to the mass. So now let's go back down to our atom. Protons, we have 1, 2, and 3. So that is 3 protons. And then we can consider neutrons because we know neutrons have 1 mass, 1, 2, 3. So 3 plus 3, and our mass is going to be 6 mass units. And that's how we calculate mass. So we'll do one more example here. One with 5 protons, we'll do that in red. Neutrons, we'll do in orange. And then electrons, we'll do in blue. And I'm going to go a little bit quicker on this one, but if you need to, you can pause the video. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 protons. Now I'm going to do my 3 neutrons, 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm going to do my 4 electrons. Have this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now I'm going to consider the charge. So the charge. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 protons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 protons. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 electrons, which are minus charges. So I have 1 I can cancel, 2 I can cancel, 3 I can cancel, 4 I can cancel, but this plus charge is left over, so the charge on this atom is going to be 1 plus on the overall charge. So now let's consider the mass. So remember, only neutrons and protons contribute to the mass. So we have 1 proton, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 protons plus how many neutrons? 1, 2, and 3. So my mass is going to be 8. So now you know how to calculate charge and mass